On the night of July 22nd, 2025, the American Airlines Center was filled not just with flashing lights, but with something far heavier: emotion. As Jin Seokjin, better known as Jin of BTS, stepped onto the Dallas stage for the first time in 7 years, the crowd didn't just cheer. They cried that it wasn't just a concert. It was a reunion, a full-circle moment that felt years in the making. The last time Jin graced a stage in Dallas was in 2018, during BTS's iconic Love Yourself tour. Back then, he was part of Seven, the oldest Hyung, the emotional support, the comedic relief. But now, after military service and personal growth, Jin stood alone in the spotlight, not as a fragment of BTS, but as a full-fledged solo artist. And Dallas welcomed him like royalty. As the first notes of his opening track echoed through the arena, a collective gasp swept through the 18,000 fans in attendance. Many had waited in line for hours, some since dawn, just to be close to the man who once called ARMY his universe. Tears began to fall the moment he sang his first lyric. Some fans sang along through sobs. Others simply stood still, hands over hearts, stunned to witness his return. There was something profoundly vulnerable about Jin that night. Dressed in a sleek black and silver outfit with hints of rockstar glam, he looked powerful, but when he smiled, it was soft. And when he paused between songs to thank fans in English and Korean, his voice trembled ever so slightly. "It's been a long time," he said, eyes scanning the sea of purple lights. "I missed you so much." Those words hit harder than any high note, because everyone in that arena had missed him too. The Jin Seokjin tour had already made headlines in other cities, but Dallas felt different. It felt personal. The emotional energy was tangible, almost spiritual. Fans brought banners that read, "Welcome home, Jin," and others raised glowing ARMY bombs in synchronized patterns that bathed the venue in soft, magical light. When he performed The Astronaut, many fans simply wept, overwhelmed by the moment they'd been dreaming of for years. Social media quickly exploded with fan cams showing fans visibly breaking down the moment Jin appeared on stage. One particularly viral clip showed a group of young women in tears as they screamed, "He's really here." Another showed a father holding his daughter's hand as they swayed together to Moon, tears streaming down both their faces. This wasn't just a musical event, it was an emotional reckoning. A healing moment for fans who had waited, hoped, and never stopped believing. When Jin bowed at the end of the night and whispered, "Thank you for waiting for me," the crowd erupted once more. But this time, it wasn't the loudness that was memorable, it was the unity. The sound of thousands of hearts beating in sync, of a bond reignited. For many, that night in Dallas will go down as one of the most emotional moments in BTS solo history. And for Jin, it was more than a performance. It was a declaration. "I'm back. I never left you, and I'm never letting go." By the time the second night of the Dallas concert rolled around on July 23rd, the emotional current hadn't dimmed. If anything, it had intensified. Jin seemed more at ease, more playful, even teasing the crowd with his signature dad jokes and exaggerated winks that sent fans into a frenzy. But between the laughter and lighthearted charm, there were these soft, quiet moments where the weight of the evening was undeniable. "I was nervous coming here," Jin admitted between songs. "I didn't know if you'd still be waiting, but you were." That single confession sent a wave of cheers and tears rippling through the venue. Because even though it had been years, the connection between Jin and ARMY hadn't dulled one bit. It had matured, deepened, become something unshakable. Many fans shared on social media how the show became a space of reflection. One tweet read, "Seeing Jin perform live again reminded me how much comfort BTS has brought me during hard times. Tonight felt like healing. I cried the entire second half." Others recalled stories of how Jin's music, especially tracks like Epiphany, Abyss, and The Astronaut, had helped them through personal losses, loneliness, and depression. Seeing him live wasn't just exciting. For some, it was life-affirming. The stage design, too, played its part in the emotional storytelling. As Jin performed ballads, the backdrop transformed into a night sky, with constellations flickering behind him. During his powerful rendition of Super Tuna, because yes, he still gave the fans the chaotic energy they love, the arena erupted into pure joy. But even in the playful numbers, there was a sense of celebration. This wasn't just about music. It was about reconnection, and Dallas gave back everything. The American Airlines Center staff reported a level of fan enthusiasm they hadn't seen in years. Security guards were caught dancing, Concession workers wore purple accessories, and even local reporters, many unfamiliar with K-pop, admitted they were blown away by the energy, emotion, and devotion on display. But perhaps the most unforgettable moment of all came at the very end of the final Dallas show on July 25th. After his last song, as confetti fell and the lights dimmed, Jin stood alone on the stage. No music, no words, just him, arms outstretched, soaking in the cheers. Then, with tears in his eyes, he said, This feels like family." And in that moment, no one wanted it to end. In the days following Jin's unforgettable 3-night run in Dallas, the city itself seemed changed. Reunion Tower, the glowing orb that defines the Dallas skyline, remained lit in purple for several nights. Local cafes near the venue played BTS songs on loop. A mural even popped up overnight near Deep Ellum, a tribute from ARMY artists that featured Jin standing in front of a constellation-filled sky, his iconic silver microphone in hand. More than just another stop on a global tour, Dallas became a symbol of what it means when an artist and his fans refuse to let time, distance, or silence weaken their bond. Many attendees described the concert as life-changing, not only because of the stellar setlist or stage production, but because of the emotional presence Jin carried throughout. He wasn't just performing, he was remembering, honoring, healing, and inviting every person in the crowd to do the same. Ticketmaster reviews flooded in, praising the concert for its emotional depth and fan-centered moments. One 5-star review read, "I laughed, I cried, and I left with a full heart." Jin didn't just sing, he connected. "I'll never forget this night." And it's true, because in an industry where spectacle often overshadows sincerity, Jin's Dallas performance proved that vulnerability is a strength, and that true artistry means letting your guard down in front of 18,000 strangers who feel like family. As the final echoes of Epiphany and The Astronaut fade into memory, one thing is clear: Jin's return to Dallas wasn't just a concert. It was a homecoming, a declaration, a love letter, and for ARMY, especially those who've waded through enlistments, distance, and uncertainty, it was more than enough. Jin didn't just step back onto the stage, he stepped back into our hearts, and we never want him to leave again. If there was ever a moment that could be frozen in time, immortalized in purple flames and guitar solos, it happened in Anaheim on July 18, 2025. Jin BTS, the eldest of the Bangtan legends, didn't just take the stage at the Honda Center. He owned it, burned it down, and rebuilt it as his personal rock temple. And yes, we're still catching our breath, wearing a jet black, leather-detailed ensemble that screamed rock god energy, with just a hint of Seokjin-style mischief. Jin transformed from worldwide handsome into worldwide heartstopper. Forget soft ballads for a moment. This was loud, electric, and overwhelmingly hot, both visually and emotionally. As the first chords of Another Level rang out, the crowd of over 18,000, the largest for a K-pop act ever at the Honda Center, didn't just cheer. They screamed, and for good reason. This was Jin at his most powerful. The lighting, dramatic reds and moody blacks that painted him like a mythic figure from some glam rock folklore. The vocals? Sharp, commanding, with just enough rasp to make your soul do a backflip. The fan cams? Let's just say if Seokjin wasn't already a fashion icon, that Anaheim night made him 1.1 fans' viral tweet said it best. That wasn't a performance, it was a spiritual experience in leather. The now infamous fan cam of Jin singing under a blood-red spotlight, flanked by flashing ARMY bombs like electric stars in the dark, has already surpassed 10 million views. Some fans claimed they couldn't breathe. Others joked their phones melted. A few simply cried. Honestly, valid. But what made it so unforgettable wasn't just the outfit or the vocals. It was the energy. Jin didn't just walk across that stage, he prowled, with the confidence of someone who's no longer just the funny one, but an artist in complete control of his era. Between guitar riffs, he interacted with the crowd like a seasoned rock veteran, tossing smirks, striking dramatic poses, and even tossing his mic stand aside during the final chorus like he was born for an arena tour. It was drama. It was elegance. It was pure, unfiltered Seokjin. And Anaheim? It might never recover.